we've taken out 3 statements from some of our research and one of our grantees. Maybe good to know. At MAVC, we don't just fund, we also do research. We try really to find out why does tech work or why does tech not work in certain circumstances. It's not good enough to go and try things every time and say, well, this was a fantastic project. We need to find out what works, why it works, and how can we make other people use that knowledge that we have gained. And how can we educate donors about what's important in tech. Not every project that says we're going to do something on Facebook is going to be a successful tech project. Give us your thoughts about that project. To what extent is this true, and how does this affect the way you work? How does this affect the way women will or will not go online?
Thank you. Okay, so to start with, women do not have access to financial resources. So do people buy phones or laptops or the internet? That's basically men. So it's a progression of issues and barriers that women have. That's the first one. Second, if you want to buy electronics in Pakistan related to the internet or any sort of form of digital tools, women simply do not go to these places. I don't know how true that is for Kenya or Tanzania, for instance, but like in Lahore, we have this market called the MAVC Center. It's all boys. I barely ever see women go into that place. If they do go, they go with escorts. And male escorts. Somebody from their family or a friend would have to take them, more often it's their family. And it's this sort of stuff that sort of makes women think that maybe technology is just not their thing. So to start with, they don't feel like they have a right over this stuff. Like, you know how privacy is common sense for men? You can't go up to a guy and say, show me your password. Give me your phone. What are you doing? Who's calling you? Nobody does that. But with women, this is like a constant thing. This is something that they're completely used to. It's no big deal for a husband to ask his wife, well, who's calling you, even if it's a work call. But if you ask your husband who's calling him, then maybe you would be called a hysterical woman or crazy or something, right? So it's basically stuff like that. And apart from that, the one thing that really strikes me in Pakistan, because it wasn't a reality for me, possibly because my brother is the younger brother and there's like a huge age gap. But if there is a device at home and it's a shared device, like many families will have just that one computer and everyone has to use it, it does not matter if a girl has an assignment that she has to submit the next day. The younger brother, or the elder brother for that matter, could be playing a video game and he'd still be told that it's okay for him to do that. So women don't get preferential treatment when it comes to access to technology. We're told to wait. We're told that, it's okay if you don't get it right now, maybe later on you can sort of, see if there's time left. So it's sort of the little stuff, but it seeps into everything. So when we go and we try to tell the girls that, reclaim the internet, the first reaction is, do we really need to? And then we sort of break it down for them and tell them, oh, you do this on the internet, or you do that on the internet. I'll give you an example. Again, I don't know how true this is for Kenya or Tanzania or any of the countries in Africa. But when we go into these sessions, there's this huge trend of women now buying things on Facebook. Do you guys have that here? So, from your shoelaces to a pan that you need to cook eggs on, everything is there on Facebook. There are these groups and pages upon pages. And women are running businesses from home. So, at first when you go into these sessions and you ask these girls, well, if somebody harasses you, will you stop using the internet? They're all like, yes, we will, we totally will. And then I start asking them these questions, sort of break it down for them. How would you get shocked? And then they start thinking, oh, yeah, that might be a problem. So women basically just don't think that access to technology or access to the internet is a thing that they need to worry about. It's because men have made sure, number one, that they have control of the resources completely, and these spaces are not women-friendly spaces. And number two, that you're sort of constantly told, oh, well, I'll take care of it. So that's basically, that's my 2 cents on this.
Adding to what has been explained here, it's not quite different from what has been explained in Tanzania also. For example, in the project of mobile mapping that we are working on collecting information from women using a mobile phone applications, it's happened that since the men are the ones who decide for everything, it found that we were just interviewing the women, but their men said that if you are interviewing me, I have to be there. I want to know what are you asking my husband or my wife, or my partner using a mobile phone What are you asking? So they want to get the information together. While you are interviewing a woman, he has to be there. He has to listen what you are talking or what a woman will speak of. So they are the ones who control everything from women, and they are not allowing women to use phones. So we had the time of asking them, no, this is the issue of women. It's talking about the issues of family planning. We are talking about the issue of fertility services. But also they said, no, I want to be there. I want to listen. What is she going to explain? Which this one called the women to frighten, to not speak, not be free of speaking their issues and their concerns. And as you can see, as Sunny has already explained, they are not using phone. They are not allowed. They are not allowed by their partners to use phone. Until if a man is not having a phone, and you woman you have a phone, you cannot use that phone. The phone has to be used by a man. And you have to ask for the permission to use that phone. And you can be told just to use the phone for the issues of religious only, or the women in groups and not other things. That is like this.
Yeah, and we can smile about these things, but this means, for example, if you have a hotline and you want to help women who are going to report about gender-based violence, are you going to send a message that you've been raped if you know your husband is going to be checking your phone that evening? These are issues that you really have to think about. So people who are making apps around these issues, think about who else is accessing those technologies. Anything you want to add?
Just briefly, often even when there is access given, in some cases it's part of a larger, as we've heard, it's part of a larger attempt to control. And so one very narrow thing that we work on with our annual Take Back the Tech campaign is we've produced some resources and materials for women to protect themselves from that snooping. So if you are given your own computer or your own access, you might want to be protecting yourself from even someone inside your family or someone that you know who would be looking at what you're doing. You can maybe go and look at the resources there.
Giving access or inclusion is relatively meaningless if you're not changing power dynamics. Now, MAVC, we work together with, there's HIBOS, there's Ushahidi, and there's the Institute of Development Studies. They like talking a lot about power dynamics, and it sounds very academic. But what it basically means is, if you're going to collect data, what are you going to do with it? What is going to change in the actual situation? If women are not being listened to, if you collect data about violence against women, you're going to have a lot of data, but if no one is still listening to that data, you will not have changed the power dynamics. So that is something we're really looking into our project. What are you doing to change that dynamics, which is a lot more difficult and a lot more long-term than opening a hotline or making a nice app or connecting voices in any kind of way.
So this is a bit like looking at violence against women and talking about the length of a person's skirt. It's not, you really have to look at things from the top down to change the power dynamics, and this is, I think, what APC does and focuses most of our time on, is working at higher levels, trying to change policy and trying to influence movements. So one of the projects we have is to train women in internet governance issues. So this is developing policy advocacy skills to influence laws, to influence legislation that understands the role of gender in the digital age. So it's maybe common knowledge, common sense now that experiencing trolling online is a form of harassment, but years ago it wasn't. You have sort of resolutions on violence against women, and today those resolutions include portions about the role of the internet in these dynamics, and that is the work of not just APC but lots of organizations working on this. And those are called, we call them Gender and Internet Governance Exchanges, GIGX, and we do like 2 or 3 a year, and usually before an internet governance forum, usually regionally or internationally. There's an International Internet Governance Forum coming up in December, so we'll be doing another one there. And then another project that we work on that is more of a top-down solution and sort of has long-term goals is working with feminist movements around the world. So we've developed, let me start actually from the beginning. So working with feminists in mostly the global South countries, we got together about 70 activists in person in a meeting, but then we also had an online Twitter campaign, and our hashtag was Imagine a Feminist Internet. And from that meeting and from that online campaign that got around 2 million tweets, we sort of crowdsourced something that turned into what we call the feminist principles of the internet. So the feminist principles of the internet are 13 principles that are based on, like I said, lived experiences by activists, activist movements in different parts of the world, and really trying to be both general so that they can be applied in many different situations, but also very specific, so that when we do go to internet governance spaces, we feel that we're speaking with a genuine voice from women who are working in this area every day and from many different places.
Adding to what has been explained there, in case of Tanzania, that in the project of mobile mapping for womanhood, that what we are doing after collecting the information from women, then the information has been analyzed, and that analysis is taken back to the community for being validated. Then we take the women and we put them together to find the room for exchange, for sharing the ideas, what has been concerned, what are their concerns, the concerns of women. We just put them together with the healthcare provider, the decision makers, and the community itself to have the room of speaking their concerns, find the truth, because they've already validated the data. They are the ones who speak about it, so that their voice can foster for the accountability and check for the good governing from the community, from the head of the state, the government body, so that in order for the purpose for them to consider the issue of women and have the quality services of the women. The women themselves are shouting, are talking and speaking out for their concerns in front of the different healthcare providers, including the healthcare provider, the religious leaders, and the government officials, the policymakers, to validate and to make sure that their issues are taken into concern.
I think I just have like a brief point to add to this. I think mostly in Pakistan, again, not sure how applicable this is here, but women see themselves as the lesser sex when it comes to anything. Anytime you do something well, for instance, if you drive well, she drives like a guy. You know, you'll hear stuff like that all the time. A lot of the times it's women saying these things. And in Pakistan, I often say this: there are no good drivers. The traffic is absolutely crazy there. And I mean, honestly, show me a good driver there and I'll give you $500. It's that bad. But anytime you see a woman driving, people will, and often women will point and say, oh look, an auntie. It's always an auntie, even if it's a 12-year-old girl. So women need to sort of stand up for themselves first. Just like I was saying a little while ago, you have to sort of believe that you have the same rights as men do. So when you get harassed, your first response should not be to say, oh well, you know, probably my fault, so I'm just going to shut this thing down and retreat. A guy would never think that way, because men are not told to think that way, you know? So women, I feel, need to stop putting themselves here while they put men here, and realize that, you know, the work that you do, the life that you have, the values that you hold, everything that you do has its own spark, its own, you know, life and energy, and it's just as important as a guy's journey. So that, I feel, is like the crux of everything. Power dynamics will not change till the point where women actually stop thinking, oh well, you know, he's a guy, boys will be boys. So, you know, you need to start holding men accountable, but you sort of need to start holding yourself accountable to the regressive views that you hold. And we all have this, by the way. There's a lot of learning to do. I mean, if you had met me 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't like me very much. I was ridiculously conservative, but with time I've sort of unlearned a lot of stuff. I mean, none of us were born perfect. We were all taught really, really horrible things about ourselves. But with time we realized, well, you know, this makes no sense. This might not be right. Like, you know, when I drive well now and someone says, oh, you drive like a guy, I'm like, no, actually I don't. Men are really bad drivers here. That's not a compliment. So I feel like this is something that we all need to do, and it's a personal evolution that we need to really invest some time in. And with the Hamara Internet campaign, this is just one example, the driving example. We have a lot of examples that we give these girls, and we try really hard to get them to see that, you know, a lot of the stereotypes that exist are ridiculously flawed, and they need to sort of really put their minds to it and see whether the reality they're being told of even exists.
I was in another feminist forum, and there's been a very challenges, especially with women from South Sudan, with taking interviews because the men want to be there. The men of the family want to be there because they're afraid of what the women will say. So my question is, when you do the mapping, when you conduct the interviews, how do you get the story out from the women while still keeping the efficacy behind it, even when the men are around? The other question is, in terms of working with, especially protection agencies, once you've collected these stories, and if you work with local protection agencies in the different areas, how do you work with them to ensure that the women are safe, that the women do not receive any kind of backlash when they go back home to their husbands? And then, are there any success stories of men who previously controlled their wives or daughters' access to technology? Are there success stories of them coming around or them being more accepting? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to start with the first question that how do we do with the challenge of men, the information being there, if the women will more give out the information while the men are there. What we did, we just speak with the men first. We speak with the men asking them that we are going to do this, we are going to collect information about maternal health and the uptake of family planning with your women, and we will talk about the issues of women. Can you please allow us to talk with your partners? So they said if the issues, they were first asking what the objective. The objective, we just tell them is the issue of improving the health, maternal health for women. So they were allowing us to speak with men. We get more challenge for Maasai. The Maasai, they didn't want us to speak with their partners, and they had an idea that they were relating with traditional issues of speaking with the phone, but we had community leaders who from the Maasai themselves, who we collaborate with them, and he's the one who was explaining to them, explaining to them, and at the end they agree us to speak with women. And during the validation now of data, we just take both men and women to see what to validate the information and to agree on if the real situation is there at the health facility or at the community level.
Guys, so we'll only take one more brief question or comment from the audience. Anyone? All right.
Hi, my name is Marianne. I'm a tech enthusiast. So I'm just wondering, because it's really worrying the tales, right? What is the extent of this marginalization and this kind of like prevention of tech? In terms of numbers, I mean, how many women, for example, in maybe northern Tanzania or something like that?
Wow, that's a difficult question because Tanzania is notoriously short of data. We need a lot more of that. I think the regions, it differs per region, but I mean, as with most countries, women in cities tend to be more empowered than the one in rural regions. There are some communities that feel women should be less out of the home than other communities. But I think it's fair to say that regardless of where you go, everywhere the men are ahead, and even modern men in Dar es Salaam will insist that it's perfectly fair to check their women's phones. They might not, prevent her speaking to anyone without his personal presence, but this is an issue that affects a lot of women, and it even happens in their room. When we sit in very privileged places, but I think, yeah, it's a phenomenon everywhere. I'd venture even to say that even if you go to Europe, even in the Netherlands, it's probably more normal to want to peek into your girlfriend's phone than the other way around. And that's a problem. Yeah. But what we're trying to say is, I mean, these issues we can work around these issues, we can work with these issues, but we can't just implement tech and pretend they're not there. So what you do offline is at least as important as what you do online. But men aren't monsters, just the few men who are here don't worry. One of the nice things that came out of the CMAVC project is actually that a number of men were complaining and saying, why aren't we being interviewed? Because we also have stuff to say about sexual and reproductive health. So there are a lot of men out there who, when you talk to them, do want to help out. So I'm looking around for Angela to see if we have to stop.
Yes.
That was the last question. But all of us are still sort of hanging around. So if there's any questions about the project or about MAVC, just spot one of us.